Every sign's strongest hours today, and the one stretch that suits routine work rather than fresh starts, are both coming in this reading. Welcome and a calm Monday to you. One thing before we begin, these readings are cast from your Vedic moon sign, the sidereal moon, not the sun sign you may know from magazines, and every transit house is counted from that moon. If you read the right sign, the guidance lands where you live. Readings today are from your moon sign. The link below finds yours in 10 seconds. Our Panchanga anchor is New Delhi. Today runs under Krishna Panchami, holding until 10:54 at night, with the star Uttara Bhadrapada carrying the day until 2 hours before that. Rahu Kala falls in the morning window from 7:24 to 9:05. A good stretch for steady, already started work. Before the signs, one small act of care. Share a little food with someone who has not eaten today. Aries, today rewards you for choosing quiet over conquest, and that choice will serve you well. Yesterday already asked you for simplicity, and you likely felt your usual forward pace soften into something slower. In work and money, the moon and retrograde Saturn both sit in your 12th house, the place of rest, retreat and letting go. So this is a good window for closing loose ends rather than opening new fronts. Mercury and Mars in your 3rd house of effort and communication support one clear, well-worded message. Send it and let it be enough. You are ruled by Mars, Aries, and courage genuinely reaches you before caution does, which is why deliberate slowness is your discipline today, not your weakness. In relationships, exalted Jupiter and the Sun in your 4th house of home and inner ground favor warmth close to where you live. For energy, Uttara Bhadrapada holds until 10 at night, and Monday's moon in Pisces asks for early rest and lighter food. The day that began by asking for space ends having given you some. If someone you know has been alone lately, call them or sit with them a while, wanting nothing back. Let today be simple. That is enough. Taurus, today favors the quiet strength of your circle. The people who already trust you are the ones worth turning toward. Yesterday, your mind traveled lightly as the moon settled into your 11th house of gains, friends and wider networks, and that easy, unhurried mood is still with you. In work and money, the moon holds that same 11th house from your sign, so contacts, colleagues and group efforts carry your best returns. Ask a friend for an introduction rather than pushing a cold door. Saturn also sits in your 11th retrograde, casting its full 3rd aspect, which means older commitments to a group may ask for patience. Taurus, you are ruled by Venus. You build slowly and you build things that hold, so let that steadiness answer Saturn instead of hurry. In relationships, Monday's soft moon supports listening more than persuading. One honest conversation is enough. For energy and health, keep the demanding task outside, 7:24 to 9:05 in the morning, and let the evening settle as Uttara Bhadrapada gives way at 10 at night. Wearing white suits the day. That patient thread through your circle closes gently today. Somewhere, offer your seat, your place in line, or your unhurried time to someone who needs it more, asking nothing back. May something small go beautifully right for you today. Gemini, your voice is the sharpest tool you carry today, so use it where it actually decides something. Yesterday, the moon opened in your 10th house of career and public standing, and you likely felt your thinking flow easily into whatever the day asked of you. That thread continues. The moon is in Pisces in that same 10th house, with Saturn retrograde there too. So career matters ask for steadiness rather than speed. Say what you know clearly, then let it settle before pushing again. Mercury moves through your own sign in your first house, joined by Mars, and this is where you live. Gemini, curiosity moves you, and connection has never cost you effort. Put that toward one conversation that has been waiting. For energy, Monday under Uttara Bhadrapada until 10 at night favors a slower rhythm than your mind prefers, so let rest be part of the plan. And if you want a gentle marker, white and the number 5 suit the day. The steadiness you show in public work today is the same steadiness worth offering privately. Find someone quietly struggling with something you already understand and teach it patiently, at their pace, expecting nothing back. Carry this lightly and have a truly good day. Cancer, today favors learning something you have been circling for a while and letting it settle into how you work. Yesterday already opened this doorway with the moon in your ninth house of belief, learning and long journeys. So a wider view has been forming in you since then. That same moon, your own ruler, now moves through Pisces in that ninth house, and Saturn is retrograde there beside it, which supports patient revision of plans rather than fresh launches. In money matters, reread the older document today. By evening, you may find the detail you missed. Venus sits debilitated in Virgo in your third house of effort and communication. So keep messages simple and warm and say the plain thing rather than the clever one. Cancer, you read a room before anyone in it says so, and that instinct is your steadiest guide today. With the Sun and exalted Jupiter both in your own first house, your energy is generous. So rest by 10 at night when Uttara Bhadrapada ends and let Monday close quietly. There, the detail arrives when you slow down. Pass on something useful you no longer need to someone who does, and let that be complete in itself. The day is yours to shape. Shape it kindly. Leo, the warmth you carry arrives in a room before you have said a single word, and today that quiet warmth is your most useful tool. Yesterday already asked you for a softer pace, and you likely felt the day pulling inward rather than forward. With the moon in Pisces in your 8th house of shared resources and deep change, joint money, pooled budgets and quiet arrangements ask for care rather than speed. So read the shared numbers slowly today and let the bigger call wait. Mercury and Mars both move through your 11th house of networks and gains, which favors a message to someone in your wider circle. Rahu sits in your 7th house of partnership. Leo, so let a partner or close colleague finish their thought before you answer. Chandrashtama applies for you today and lifts by 9:54 at night tomorrow, which simply means an easier pace and lighter commitments serve you well until then. The nakshatra shifts at 10 at night. You are ruled by the sun, and that steadiness holds even on a slow day. Today's softer pace is the whole shape of it, nothing more. Say the encouraging word you have been meaning to say to someone, unprompted, expecting nothing back. A free full chart is available on the website whenever you want to go deeper. Move through today at your own pace. It is the right one. Virgo, today favors the conversations you have been quietly rehearsing, and you are more ready for them than you think. Yesterday, the moon opened in your house of partnership and close alliances, so your mind likely rode easily, tuned to someone else's rhythm. That same moon still moves through Pisces in your 7th house of partnership, and it softens how you land with people, which is a good window for the talk you have been postponing. Mercury, your ruler, sits in its own sign Gemini in your 10th house of work and public standing, and precision is instinct for you. Use it today on one piece of work that carries your name. Saturn, Also in your 7th, casts its full aspect back across your sign, Virgo, which asks patience rather than speed in agreements. So read once more before you agree. Mars in that same 10th house casts its full 4th aspect, so your drive runs warm. Steady it with rest and simple food. And keep the window from 7 to 24 to 9:05 in the morning for quieter tasks. The arc of the day settles where it began, in company. Somewhere near you sits a small chore nobody claimed. Do it quietly, tell no one, and let that be the whole of it. May the day meet you kindly and leave you a little lighter. Libra, your mind sits steady today. And steady is exactly what turns an ordinary Monday into a productive one. Yesterday, the moon was already moving through your 6th house of daily work, health, and routine, so the day likely asked you for small, patient upkeep rather than anything grand. The Sun and exalted Jupiter both stand in your 10th house of career and public standing, which supports the work you do quietly, being noticed by the people who matter. Give your best start to the task you have been postponing. Venus, your own ruler, sits in your 12th house in Virgo. Debilitated, and that simply means love asks for softness rather than performance today. Libra, you find the balance point in almost any room, so let listening carry the conversation instead of persuasion. With the moon and retrograde Saturn together in that 6th house of routine and health, your energy favors rhythm over intensity. Keep meals and rest at their usual hours and let the Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra hold until 10 at night. The steadiness you began the day with is still with you as it closes. Before you rest, thank someone whose work usually goes unnoticed, expecting nothing back. Whatever today asks of you, you have met harder days than this. Scorpio, your steadiest asset today is the honest counsel you can both give and receive, and it costs you nothing to use it. Yesterday's opening in your 5th house of creativity, romance and children left you leaning on knowledge and a wider view, and that thread has not been cut. The Sun and an exalted Jupiter both stand in your 9th house of learning and guidance, and Jupiter casts its full 5th aspect from there. So work and money questions are best answered by asking someone wiser rather than deciding alone. Ruled by Mars, you go deep where others skim, and your resilience is easy to underestimate, including by you. In relationships, Scorpio, the moon sits in Pisces in that same 5th house as today's period lord, which softens how you speak and makes affection easier to show than to explain. So say the warm thing plainly. Monday's moon supports rest more than proving anything, and the Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra holds until late evening, making the earlier part of the day the calmer window for anything demanding. The wider view you started with is the payoff. It arrives through conversation. Let today's care be simple. Sit a while with someone who is unwell and let them set the pace, asking nothing back. Let today be useful rather than perfect. Sagittarius, today rewards the honest question over the quick answer, and home is where that question wants to be asked. Yesterday, the moon already opened in your 4th house of home, family, and inner ground. So, a pull toward quiet and familiar walls has likely been with you since then. Mercury, in its own sign of Gemini, sits in your 7th house of partnership and one-to-one dealings, and Mars stands there too, both casting their full aspects back across your chart. So, conversations about shared work and shared money land sharper than usual. Speak plainly and let the other person finish. This is a good window for agreements you have circled for a while. Saturn, retrograde in that same 4th house, casts its full 10th aspect, which favors slow, structural repair at home rather than a burst of effort. Jupiter rules you, Sagittarius, and optimism is your baseline. So trust the search itself today rather than rushing to arrive. Uttara Bhadrapada holds until 10 at night, supporting steady, unhurried care of your body, earlier meals, and earlier close to the day. That inward tilt settles well into one small act. Share food with someone who is hungry today, expecting nothing back, simply because a plate offered is complete in itself. Walk gently today and let the day come to you. Capricorn, today favors the short, honest conversation you have been carrying around unspoken. Yesterday, the moon was already moving through your third house of courage, siblings, and short journeys, and your mind likely felt light and quick to reach outward. It stays there today in Pisces, with retrograde Saturn also in that third house, your own ruler, steady in the sector of nerve and near travel. You play the long game by nature, not by discipline, and that is why a slow, well-worded message serves your work and money matters better than a fast one. Mercury and Mars both sit in your sixth house of daily work and effort, so handle one small task properly rather than five loosely. Relationships get real warmth. Capricorn, exalted Jupiter, and the Sun both occupy your seventh house of partnership, casting their full aspects back across your chart, which supports an open, generous exchange with the person opposite you. Say the kind thing plainly. For energy, let the evening thin out after the Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra ends at 10 at night, and rest without guilt. The lightness of the third house lands best in a small act. Set out water or a little food for the birds or a stray animal, expecting nothing at all. May today bring you one moment worth remembering. Aquarius, today favors quiet clarity about what you actually value, and that clarity is worth more than any quick win. Yesterday, the moon was already moving through your second house of money, possessions, and what you hold dear. So, a low hum of counting and comparing may have followed you around. That same second house still holds the moon, and Saturn sits there in retrograde motion, which means this is a good window for reviewing spending, subscriptions, and slow commitments rather than launching something new. Look at one small money detail today and let the rest wait. Saturn rules your sign, Aquarius, and that is why you think from an angle nobody else tried. In relationships, that gift works best when you say plainly what you need rather than solving it silently. With Ketu in retrograde motion opposite you in the partnership axis, listening does more than explaining. For energy, keep the day gentle around the morning Rahu Kala window and let the evening carry the real work, since the Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra holds until late tonight. Something white nearby, or the number 8, can steady you. The arc of today closes where it opened. Worth is not a number. Give someone your full, unhurried attention while they speak, and let that be the whole of it. Go easy on yourself today. The stars are patient, and you can be too. Pisces, today ask you to simply arrive as yourself, because the day works best when you stop editing who you are. Yesterday, the moon was already in your first house of self and vitality, so you likely felt more visible and more sensitive than usual. Jupiter, your ruler, sits exalted in your fifth house of creativity and casts its full ninth aspect, and that favors work you make rather than work you merely finish. Let one idea today be yours in shape and voice. Venus in your seventh house of partnership and agreements casts its full seventh aspect back toward you. Pisces, which supports honest, unhurried conversation with the person you share plans with, say the plain thing. Kindly, compassion moves you before analysis does, and imagination reaches where reasoning stops. So trust the first quiet impulse of care today. With the moon in your own sign and Saturn also there, energy comes in waves rather than a steady line. So pace the day and use the quieter hours after 10 at night for rest, not more effort. The idea you shape early is the payoff of arriving as yourself. Let today's kindness be practical. Carry something heavy for someone who is struggling, a bag, a task, an hour of work, asking nothing back. Wishing you a calm and steady day ahead. May your day carry a steady rhythm, clear thinking, and small moments of ease you actually notice. And may the people around you feel a little lighter for having crossed your path. Take the guidance gently, keep what is useful, and let the rest pass without weight. The sky offers direction, never pressure, and you remain the one holding the pen. If you can, offer one quiet act of care today, a shared meal, a patient answer, a few unhurried minutes of your full attention. If today's sky was useful, subscribing keeps it coming every morning.